Daniel had always been obsessed with his weight. After years of trying different diets, he finally found one that promised fast results. A radical, restrictive plan that emphasized fasting, eliminating all but the barest essentials from his meals. He was committed now more than ever. For weeks, Daniel followed the rules strictly. His body grew thinner, his face contoured, but he felt more and more powerful. He was in control. The first signs of something odd started when he began hearing whispers in the dead of night. At first, he chalked it up to hunger-induced hallucinations. After all, he was barely eating. The whispers seemed to come from everywhere: the dark corners of his room, the cracks in the floor, even the walls seemed to hum with an eerie voice. "Eat, just a little, you'll feel better," they murmured. But Daniel resisted. He had come so far. One evening, as Daniel sat at his kitchen table, staring at the bland salad he had prepared, he saw something move in the corner of his eye. He jerked his head around, heart hammering, but there was nothing. The fridge door creaked open by itself. He told himself it was just the wind, but something gnawed at him. Something dark, something hungry. He slammed the door shut, locking it with a feeling of dread creeping over him. That night, the whispers grew louder. As Daniel lay in bed, trying to sleep, they seemed to crawl beneath his skin. They slithered into his ears, filling his mind with an unbearable hunger. He tried to shake it off, but the whispers intensified, now accompanied by images of food: rotisserie chicken, chocolate cake, and juicy steaks. He could almost taste them. His stomach twisted in agony, the emptiness gnawing at him. "Just a bite," the voices whispered. "Softer now, more coaxing. One bite and the hunger will be gone." Daniel fought against the temptation, clenching his fist. He turned on his bedside lamp and threw himself out of bed, desperate for distraction. But as soon as the light flickered on, something terrifying happened. The reflection in the mirror was not his own. It was a gaunt version of himself, skeletal and hollow-eyed, with skin stretched tightly over bones, staring back at him with a twisted, monstrous grin. His mirror image didn't move in sync with his own actions. It lingered, watching him with insatiable hunger. "Feed me," the reflection whispered, its lips stretching into a grotesque grin. "You're starving, Daniel. You're feeding me. But you won't survive without more." He screamed, stumbling away from the mirror. But the reflection didn't vanish. It followed him. In the corner of his vision, it always lurked, beckoning him with a cold, insidious presence. Days passed in a blur. The whispers in his mind grew more demanding, more insistent. His body continued to waste away, but his mind began to fracture. The line between reality and nightmare blurred. The hunger was no longer just a physical craving. It had become an obsession, compulsion that tormented him day and night. Finally, on the verge of madness, Daniel broke. He could no longer resist. With trembling hands, he grabbed a bag of chips from the pantry and tore it open. He shoved the greasy, salty crisps into his mouth, barely tasting them, as he devoured everything inside. But it was not enough. "More, more," the whispers echoed, now more like a chant, as if they were inside him, as if they were controlling him. His body had become a shell, frail and weak, but his mind was filled with a burning hunger that could not be sated. He ate and ate until his stomach felt like it would burst, but the emptiness inside him didn't go away. The reflection in the mirror watched him, grinning, urging him to consume more. In the final moments of his spiral, Daniel realized, too late, that the hunger was not for food, it was for his very soul. As he crumpled to the floor, his body collapsing in exhaustion, he saw the truth. His reflection grinned at him one last time, and the whispers stopped, replaced by a deep, satisfied voice. "You have fed me well," it said. "Now it's your turn to starve." The hunger claimed him, devouring not his body, but his essence. and Daniel was lost, a mere echo of the man who once thought he could control it all. The mirror once again reflected only his empty, hollow eyes, forever waiting for the next soul to hunger for more.